Welcome into the Belhaven Blazers Football Coaches Show. I'm Kenneth Nash, joined by Belhaven Head Coach Blaine McCorkle. Coach McCorkle, thanks for joining us. First episode of the year. Good to be back.
It is good to be back. It's been a long time, so we're glad to get going again.
The Belhaven Blazers are right in the thick of things. The season has kicked off. We're going to talk about the game against Millsaps from last week. We'll talk about Southwestern coming up this Saturday. Before we get into that, though, Coach, I want to talk a little bit about the season as a whole. This is our first episode of the year, so we haven't gotten to kind of do like what we do over a preseason. We did an interview that went out on the radio, but haven't gotten to do it in front of the camera a little bit. I want to talk about the season, though. Obviously, we had this shortened spring season coming into this year. You guys felt like that was an opportunity for y'all to grow, work on some things without losing eligibility, without, sacrificing ability to have a player here for another year. That momentum that you kind of built, how do you think that translated into the start of this year? Obviously, we've seen it on the field already, but I just want to kind of get your overarching look on this season.
Yeah, I think the spring season for us was monumental in the growth of our program, and growing your program as a whole is what we're trying to do. We're not trying to win one game at a time. We're trying to build a program of national prominence here. And I think what the spring season allowed us to do was to play legitimate games that counted, with, as you mentioned, not losing any eligibility with anybody. And we've got our entire team back, minus one guy who had some career opportunities who graduated that he couldn't pass up, and we certainly understand that and wish him well. But other than that, our entire team's back with 5 free games under their belt, and we had some success in the spring that we haven't had. So that's really been a catalyst to hopefully push us forward into this real fall season.
Yeah, the Blazers went 3-2 in the spring, won their final 3 games, now riding a 4-game winning streak after knocking off Millsaps last week. I want to take you back right before the Millsaps game, and once again, we didn't get to do this before the season started, but going into Millsaps, obviously it's a big-time rivalry. They're a quarter-mile down the road. There's not a whole lot of college football rivalries that can say that they're that close to their rival. But before that Millsaps game, you haven't played them in 2 years. You obviously, limited opportunities to play since you've played them last because you only had the shortened 2021 spring season. But what was it like kind of getting the guys back? It felt different, I think, coming into the fall and starting it off against Millsaps. What was it like getting motivated and getting ready for that game?
Well, if you have to get the guys motivated to play Millsaps, then they don't need to be here. It is a very, very unique rivalry. Our schools are so close, we can see the lights out of our office window right now. Yep. And they walk to the game. It's that close. So there's a lot of recruiting back and forth. Our kids know each other, but at the same time, we're two totally opposite schools. So it does create for a really fun rivalry. It's a trophy game, as you see behind us here with the Swords. We play for the Swords. So there wasn't a lot of motivating we had to do. I think as I look back on myself and my own development, I may have screwed that thing up the first 2 times and got the guys a little too hyped to play. Yeah. And I think we came out a little bit tight, in 18 and 19. And this year we just focused on us. They were going to show up. We knew they were going to show up. We knew they were going to play. And we just worried about ourselves and playing one play at a time and executing. And it worked out for us, but no need for a whole lot of motivation with that one for sure.
Yeah, I'm curious. You mentioned, almost maybe got him a little bit too hyped up in the first couple of meetings under your tenure. When you're building up to such a big game, not only is it Millsaps, not only is it at home, not only is it under the lights, it's a night game, which just kind of tends to have a different air about it, but also, it's the first game in the fall, which is, true football season, I think, especially here in the South. Since 2019 for almost 2 years. What is it like getting them prepared, getting them energized and ready to go? Like you said, that they should be able to do a lot of that on their own, but also keeping it contained and recognizing, hey, we're still going to have to stick to our game plan. It's still another football game. It's not, while it's different, it's not different.
Well, I think it really fit into some of our themes for the year and where our program is. 2 things that we've really focused on as a program, one being unfinished business. We felt like we still had a lot to prove in this rivalry. We feel like with the season going ahead, we still have a lot to prove. Yes, we had some success in the spring. We're very proud of that. We grew from it, but as a whole, there's still 5 teams in our conference we didn't play. There's still a lot of doubters. So unfinished business is a very real thing for us, and that game was a piece of that. The other thing is, this is a program that's now played going to our 24th year. Next year will be our 25th year of football here at Belhaven, which is not very many, but we all know other than a season or 2 here and there, the history has not been good. Yeah. And with that, with a history that has not been good, tends to come a good bit of disrespect, a good bit of lack of recognition, a good bit of bad talking, I guess you will, with some of your opponents. And our kids have a chip on their shoulder about that. Right now what we have is we like to refer to it as a joyfully angry football team. They feel like they've got a lot to prove, but they've got a smile on their face every day and they come to work. So the chip on their shoulder is real. So going into this game, it was all about just taking them one at a time and going to work and not worrying about rivalries and all that.
Okay. Well, obviously, they kicked off the season against Millsaps last Thursday. It was a great game. The Blazers come away with a 56-28 win. We're up 42-7 at halftime. It really was, at least, especially, I mean, really the whole game, but really in that first half, it was just all Blazers nonstop, 110%. We're going to dive into some clips here in just a second, but I want to talk about the game overall real quick, and then we'll talk about the individual players and everything. But the game overall, your guys looked ready to go from the start. And can you speak to what the kind of the atmosphere was for your team coming out? Being, it was a packed house under the lights. What was kind of your atmosphere for your team, and how did it translate to the field? Obviously, 56 points, most points scored in your tenure here at Belhaven.
Yeah, well, speaking of the atmosphere, it was a packed house, and it was a lot of fun. And I think the people of Jackson, Mississippi have been craving college football for over a year now. Yeah. So they showed up, and they packed it out, and it was loud, and it was fun. And if anybody in the Jackson area missed the game, you missed out. Yeah. And I would just encourage you, come back this week, because it'll be the same thing again under the lights, and a lot of people and a lot of energy. And at this level, I can't imagine a funner environment to have been in than we saw last Thursday night. But they did come out. They started fast, which is something we really challenged them to do, and we felt like we could do against Millsaps, knowing that we needed to do that, because your most improvement always is from your first game to your second. So if we felt like if we could set our bar really high in game one, that would really help us out down the road.
Early in the game, defense came out hot. A lot of pressure on the quarterback here. He was kind of running for his life, especially early in the game.
Yeah, he was. They have had some quarterback issues over there. They've made a lot of depth chart changes. We weren't real sure until we got the two deep exactly who it was going to be, and we got after him pretty good from the start. Isaiah Blackman, you see coming off the left side there, number 10. We transitioned from linebacker to defensive line. He's standing up right there and about takes the poor kid's head off. We're okay with that. He had just a stellar game, plays really hard. He's a graduate senior. He's working on his master's right now from Tuscaloosa, and he has grown maybe as much as anybody in our program the last 4 years. So he started us off fast with a big sack there and a really fast physical play to set the tone by our defense.
Yeah, the defense got things going, and then it went to the offense. And not trickery, but I think we were all anticipating a run right here. You go play action, go over the top. First play of the game. Great play.
Yeah, this play we called this play in June. Okay, so we've been talking about this play with our offense literally since June. Brad Foley needed 19 yards to set the school rushing record. Everybody knew that. Mario is one of those kids, like we talked about, who has a chip on his shoulder. People think he's just a big guy that can run, but the guy can really throw the ball. In the spring, he led the ASC in passing efficiency and still doesn't get a lot of credit. So we wanted to give him a chance to take a shot the first play of the game, and Mike Simpson probably was the fastest guy on the field Thursday night. So we took a shot on the first play, and it paid off, and we got a 51-yard touchdown to get us started off right off the bat.
Got it going early and didn't let up from there. The defense said they wanted to get involved in the scoring a strip sack right here.
Yeah, they did. This defense is fast and physical, and I'm really pleased with what Coach Connor's done with them. And Isaiah Blackman, again, shows up and gets a hit on the quarterback, knocks the ball loose, and Connor Fordham, our junior linebacker from Wadley, Alabama, scoops it up and scores to put us up 14-0 before a bunch of times really ticked off the clock. And, if you watch Connor Fordham in this game, he played with his hair on fire, and he will tell you that he did not play well. His grade was actually low, but he was our leading tackler. He had a scoop and score for a touchdown. He had an interception later. He dropped an interception. Just played extremely hard, and he's got a lot of passion and love for the game, and he's a lot of fun to watch. So I was excited to see him get that play.
Yeah, the Blazers went up early 14-0, and the offense kept it going. Obviously, you're talking about the offense and Mario's passing ability, and right there you see it again, play action. Because, I think a lot of teams are expecting the handoff to Brad right there. Millsaps was obviously as well. And he goes over the top to Brooks Breimer, who was basically alone in the end zone.
That's right, yeah. Brooks, your first team all-conference in the spring, led our team in receiving with 12 receptions in 5 games. For a tight end, that's a lot. Brooks is a really good player for us, and he's got 3 years to go. Sophomore from Birmingham, went to Hoover High School over there. Everybody knows Hoover. And just a neat kid and a neat player, and I was excited to see him do that. Millsaps actually came back. We don't have the clip there to cut it in half, 14-7. So to put it back to 2 scores again here in the first quarter was really good, and good to see Mario cap that off with a nice toss again to Brooks.
And we talked about Mario and his ability to throw the ball, but he does have the ability to do it with the legs, and that's what we're going to see right here. A big-time run from your quarterback, and when you've got an athletic athletic freak, honestly, like a guy like Mario Asagunla. He's able to turn these plays into big chunk plays.
Yeah, Mario's a unique athlete. Did a great job here reading the power read and sticking the ball up inside and hitting the backside A-gap to take it down the backside sideline there. And I thought he might score. He stutter-stepped a little bit there and gave the guy a chance to close some ground on him. But Mario is a special, special athlete. As we just saw the previous 2 clips, he can throw the ball vertical downfield as well as anybody, and he can take off and run. You know, he's 6'6". He's graduated as well, had a 3.8 in engineering.
Yep.
He's really one of the smartest kids on our team, neat guy. And I think he could probably start in 5 sports on our campus right now.
I don't disagree with you. Disagree with you.
I think as soon as the season's over, Coach Vines is probably going to knock on my door. But special athlete, and he had a big night. We're really proud of him.
And that set up, obviously, a scoring opportunity for the Blazers. And this is a little bit, I think, what we're more accustomed to seeing from Belhaven offense over the past couple of years. Just line it up, power versus power, and punch it in.
That's right. That's who we want to be. We want to be a big physical offensive line, fullback, tight end oriented offense. That's what we were right here. Bogan Brewer, our freshman fullback, got the nice kick out block. Offensive line got some good push there on the right side, and Brad poked it in. This was the start of the second quarter there, and 2 plays before that, Brad Foley became our school's all-time leading rusher, so it was nice to see him cap off that same drive with a touchdown, and we're really proud of everything he's accomplished since he's been here.
Yeah, Brad obviously has been such a big part of the program. You mentioned the all-time leading rusher. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about that later on. But yeah, he punches in for the score, and it was at this point that it really started to feel like, okay, Belhaven's got the momentum here, and really you guys never let up.
Right. Yeah, we did. We built some momentum as we went, and it was neat to see our guys get stronger as we went. That was great. Still in the second quarter here, again, Mario showing that he can take the ball vertical, so that's 3 shots down the field that he's taken and scored on. So there in the first half, 3 touchdown passes for Mario to Nigel Owens there, sophomore receiver from Nettleton, Mississippi. That was his first touchdown of his career.
Yeah.
He was excited. So we're really, really happy for Nigel. Neat kid who has the ability to make some plays. So I think that one put us up. I think that was 35-7 at that point.
Yep. Blazers were up 35-7. They weren't going to let up from there, though. Defense gets the ball back really quickly. Connor Fordham jumps the pass, easy interception.
Yeah, great play by Connor there, reading the quarterback and getting underneath it and then getting the pick and giving the offense a short field. That's twice we've called Connor's name here in the first half. As I mentioned, he is a kid that truly plays with his hair on fire, and he is a unique, just special kid. We joke that Connor is 1 part Billy Graham, 1 part Dick Butkus. He's going to win a lot of souls to the Lord, and that's what we want to do here at Belhaven. But on Saturday, he's going to hit you. I promise you that. So just a neat kid. So excited to see him making plays on the field.
Got the ball back for the offense, and now it's time for a little trickeration right here. The halfback pass. We've seen it before. Good strike by Brad Foley. Maybe he said QB1 on Twitter after this.
Yeah, I don't know about QB1, but not real excited about his dance thereafter. He just needs to go high-five Mario and get off the field. But he is 2 for 2 with touchdowns and passing. Yep. The last game of the spring season, he threw one to Trey Jones at Howard Payne, and we thought all summer, too, that might set this one up to throw it back to the quarterback because the one in the spring was a front side to the Z receiver. So we knew that they'd see it on film and tried to do something off of it, and it worked out for us.
Yeah, it was a good throw. That put the Blazers up. I believe that was 42-7 going into the half. A pretty strong advantage going into halftime, and this is what we love to see right here.
Yeah.
Give it to the fullback, let him
That's
punch
right.
it in.
That's right. Yeah, this was a fun play. There was they called timeout. We were driving the ball on them pretty good, got down low, and I think they just needed to take a blow, so they called timeout. We actually had another play called. And this is great. The offense came over to the side, and we had another play called. And I saw Bogan, our freshman fullback there, who is really just one of those guys that's the heart and soul of your team. Yep. He's just tough, physical, loves the team. He's always got a smile on his face. And I saw him there in the huddle. I said, I got to give it to him. So, so we called the fullback dive there to let him poke it in there. And I don't think anybody was more excited than our offensive line to see what we call our third guard score a touchdown. And that's really what Bogan is a third guard for us. So it's the first of many for him. He'll have a few of those in his career. He's got 4 years to go.
Yeah, I think you can tell a lot about a player by how their team celebrates with them and their successes. And it was cool to see the team's reaction when Bogan punches that in. Obviously, big-time win. I want to talk about the game. Obviously, you got a chance to really get a lot of different players into the game. You had 9 different ball carriers. You had 9 different players catch a pass in this game. Being able to, week 1, get that many players involved, what does that do for you going forward?
Well, it's huge. We're 42-7 at the half, which is a great advantage. So you go in the half feeling pretty good. You're not going to rest on that. We definitely didn't want to take our foot off the gas, but kind of in my mind, knowing I wanted to get some guys in, I wanted to give our ones one more shot. They came back in the second half, took the ball down the field, and Colby Blunt had a nice 14-yard touchdown run there as well to separate it, and then we started playing a lot of guys. So I think half the third quarter and fourth quarter, there's maybe only 4 or 5 guys that we didn't get in the game, and I hate we didn't. You just ran out of possessions to try to get them all in, because some guys play different positions and things like that. But really excited to get so many guys in the game, get them some experience. They work so hard in training camp and in the summer, and when you get a chance to develop those guys, that's great. One of the struggles in Division III is you don't have a redshirt year. So every chance you get to get those guys in, you want to do so, because they do have limited opportunities at this level.
Yeah, it was really, really cool to see some guys, some new faces get on the field week 1. But one face has been around here for quite a while. That's Brad Foley. Became the all-time leading rusher here at Belhaven, passing Johnny Horn's record of 2,162 yards. Brad's up above 2,175 now. Plenty of yards to come, hopefully. But what has Brad meant for you as a program, not just on the field, but off the field?
Well, Brad he's a special kid. He's one of the, I think there's only 4 or 5 kids that have been here the whole time we've been here. That's all that's left from when we arrived, and Brad was one of them. And to see his growth and development, not just on the field, but personally, has been phenomenal. He's graduated. He's working on his master's right now. He's a quiet leader, but he's so respected. He's one of our captains, and we're just so proud of everything Brad's done. And he breaks it in the first game of the season, so he'll shatter it before it's over.
Yep.
And one thing I want to mention on that, you mentioned Johnny Horn, whose record he broke. He called Brad early in the week to congratulate him, and then Wednesday night in our team meeting before the game, we called him on my phone and put him on speaker, and he spoke to the whole team and delivered a message that was just powerful about not only Brad breaking the record, but how it was a team record that they all could look at it and be proud of, and it really speaks to where our program is. And he spoke a lot to just the brotherhood and the unity of college football.
Yep.
And it was a special moment for Brad and our team, and we really appreciate Johnny calling in to do that. He was spot on with his message.
Yeah, Johnny and Brad, 2 of the greatest rushers this school and this program have seen. But you mentioned running is a team game, and I want to talk about the offensive line, because I think in my time here, obviously I got here in 2019, the difference between what I see, not just in size, but in intensity and ability from the offensive line then to the offensive line now is huge. And I think it really has kind of changed the culture from the trenches, so to speak. What has the offensive line change been like, and how has that impacted your running game and your passing game and your ability to just control all 4 quarters?
Well, we have grown as much in that area as any since we've been here. When we first got here in 2018, that was a serious area of concern. 2019, we started 1 senior and a whole lot of freshmen.
Yep.
Then you have the COVID year, and now our offensive line is 1 senior, 3 sophomores, and a freshman.
Yep.
The freshman's actually already started 6 games
Yep.
because the COVID season didn't count. So they're really, really young, but what Coach Wood's been able to do with them in the weight room and change their bodies, the intensity and the energy that Coach Lucky brings to them has been really fun to watch that group develop. They're big, they're physical, and they're really close. And they're fun to watch. If you just, all you have to do is go on Twitter and watch some of Cole McAlpin's weight room videos.
Yep.
This is a big physical group.
Yep.
Both tackles are sitting just shy or right at 300 pounds. David Turner, our right guard, is sitting about 302 and can really move and is physical. Then Zay Stevens and Connor Thompson are 2 guys that kind of roll in there at guard together. Really, we've got 3 starters at guard, and they've got 3 and 4 years between them left to go too.
Yep.
Charlie Ballou being the only one that will be graduating out as he gets ready to go serve our country when he's done, and we're really proud of him.
Yep.
But it's a good young group, and we're playing really 7 guys. Cole Gaddy played about half the time at center there. So we're excited about that group, and they're going to be fun to watch continue to develop for a long time.
Yeah, it's been really cool to see that change and that progression over the past couple of seasons. I want to flip to the defense side of the ball against Millsaps. Obviously, all night you guys were creating havoc, your defensive line and really your front 7 or 6 or whatever you want to call it at different times. You run a bunch of different schemes, but your front guys were causing a lot of problems. They were kind of bottling up the run game, especially early, forcing the Millsaps to throw the ball, and then your defensive backs had really, really nice coverage. The defense, there was a lot of energy. That's kind of been the MO for this team, I feel like, at least, especially last year. The defense kind of, really kind of set the tone. They continue to do that, and now the offense is there as well. What the defense overall? Just kind of your thoughts on their.
Yeah, well, Coach Connor, since he's taken that thing over, has done a tremendous job learning, studying, seeking advice. Scripture says a wise man seeks counsel, and Coach Connor does that as well as anybody. And schematically, we're in a great spot, but more than everybody's got good schemes.
Yeah.
The guys over there playing are, kind of like we mentioned, our offensive line. They're big, fast, and physical, which is something that we haven't had in the past. We talked about Isaiah Blackman hitting the quarterback there a couple times. Demetrius Brokenberry made the move from end to nose this fall, and that's been a great move for him.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of our very few seniors who's been around here for a long time, and he's smart and he's tough. You can count on him. And then Rock Scheck is another guy. He's one of the other few guys that was here when we got here, is anchoring that other end. And then there's some young guys coming off the bench in the defensive line. Carlton Brown, in theory, is a backup, but he was an all-conference and all-region player. So he's really an extra starter for us. And then Cooper Martin's in there coming off the bench as a young guy who's got a really promising future. So the defensive line is in a great spot for this fall as we continue to build some depth there. At linebacker, we talked about Connor extensively, Emmanuel Stanley in there. And Mike Linebacker is a guy who's got 4 years to go with 6 starts. Because, again, he got the spring season and he gets the year back. And he has a chance to be as good a Mike Linebacker as we've had since we've been here. And he's still growing and developing. And it's been neat to see Luke Finder is in that other linebacker spot grow and develop through our program. And now he's in year 4 and he's starting. And you've seen him develop and grow and turn into a really good player. Then the guys on the back end, Faison Locks feels like he's been playing corner for 12 years around here, and he's still got 2 to go. He started every game that he's been here, and you almost forget he's out there because he's so steady. And there's some other guys out there who are starting to grow in their experiences. Corey Tolliver, TJ Hersey, Justin Percy is just intense and physical. Then Christian Lewis and Philip Naylor come in there and roll in and out. And so we've got a really much more depth than we've ever had, especially on defense. This is the first time since our staff's been here where we haven't counted on a freshman somewhere in the program to start. And that is huge. That's monumental for our program. So we're a much more experienced team, but we're still very young, and that's very exciting.
I want to talk about the defense a little bit and just their kind of camaraderie and being together. They obviously, a lot of these defensive guys came in young, were playing together young, and went through, frankly, a lot of trials together as a young group. Now that they've kind of, progressed, developed, but they've done it alongside each other. Defense is so much about, trusting your teammate. Hey, when you're in coverage, you got to trust that your safety's there over the top, that kind of stuff. Having seen them grow and develop, what does that do for them? They know each other so well. They've been through some bad times together. What does that do for development and team, team, I guess, togetherness?
Well, you're asking about our defense specifically, but our team as a whole, I think, is a really, really close group of guys. Our defense brings unbelievable energy to practice, and they're fun to watch. They're fun to listen to at practice. I have had professors actually complain that we could keep practice quieter, but it's usually just our defense is just yelling. They're out there encouraging each other, having a good time, doing what they love to do, and that's what you can hear a good football team. And the energy they bring and the camaraderie they bring is infectious for our whole team. It's pretty neat to watch them, and you're right, they have been through some trials, and they've grown through them, and what we're trying to do now is make sure those trials never come again, that we've learned from them, and that's part of our unfinished business, is to learn from the past and the heartaches and make sure we don't repeat those mistakes and move forward.
Yeah, the Blazers with the big win over Millsaps, 56-28. I want to take a peek ahead, though. Southwestern University coming to town Saturday, 7 p.m. here in the Bowl Stadium. I want to talk about them a little bit. They lost their first week. They were up in Thousand Oaks, California, taking on Cal Lutheran, lost 37-7. But as we know, this is a good football team. We've played them a lot, obviously through ASC play, knocked them off at their place last year. But up until then, there was a large string of Southwestern kind of, having the edge on Belhaven. This program, just talk to me about that Southwestern program.
They're a good football team. In my opinion, they are as well coached as anybody in the ASC. I think Joe Austin does a phenomenal job game planning, calling plays. He always has his guys ready to go. They did have a tough go out in California last week. When you turn on that film, Cal Lutheran is a good football team, and I was really impressed with what I saw in film out of Cal Lutheran. So you can't let that play with your mind a little bit, and then you look at their spring schedule. They probably had as tough in the spring as anybody in our conference with COVID restrictions, and then when the ice storm came, some of their facilities flooded. They were meeting from Zoom all the time. They were practicing different places. So the spring schedule and the first game is very misleading. Historically, this is a tough, physical, well-coached football team that we've got to be ready for. Yes, we were able to go out there and knock them off in the spring, but they still hold the advantage 3-1 in the series. So again, a lot of unfinished business for us with this football team as well, and we'll have to be ready to play.
From your perspective and what we can expect, I guess, Saturday from the Belhaven team, what are we looking for? What are some keys that we can kind of look at and pick out what we'll see in terms of style of play and everything like that for Belhaven this weekend?
Well, defensively, we're going to have to be really, really disciplined with our eyes. Okay, their offense, as I mentioned, I think they do as good a job scheming as anybody in our conference, and they will slip a back out of the backfield. They'll trick play you. They'll reverse you. They'll have a throwback. So we've got to be really sound and disciplined on defense. That's the first thing. They've got a quarterback, Landry Gilpin, who has some unbelievable savvy in the pocket. You know, he can sit back there and move your defense and find a soft spot and get out of it and then deliver the ball down the field as well as anybody you'll see. He was a 5A Player of the Year in the state of Texas. That's all you need to know.
Yep.
That's pretty impressive. So the quarterback is dangerous. They've got a receiver, number 3, Austin Castalea, who is dynamic, and he's a great returner, and he can make plays. So defensively, we're going to have to be disciplined and sound. Offensively, they give you some problems on defense up front with some movement. You know, they like to twist and stun and do a lot of things. So we've got to be really good with our footwork up front. You know, they're a defense that's going to give you a chance to hit a big play, but then they're going to hit you in the backfield for 3. So we've got to be patient. We've got to be sound and handle our business. They are definitely a worthy opponent who's well coached. So should be a fun game, and hopefully we have a big crowd like we did last Thursday.
Certainly, 1-0 on the season, but the record resets because it's time for ASC play. You know, Coach, looking at this game, what's your message? Because I think starting off the season 1-0 is really good. Starting off your conference schedule 1-0 is massive. What are you kind of telling your players as far as how does this set you up for the rest of the year?
Well, the 1-0, you say that is exactly right. If you ask our players, they'll all tell you we're 0-0 right now. And no matter what happens this week, when we get ready for the next opponent, whoever that is, in 4 or 5 days, they'll tell you we're 0-0 again. This team truly has a 1-0 mindset that they've adopted, and I think that's real and legitimate, and we just need to go 1-0 this week, and nothing else matters.
Yep.
You know, Lamar Jackson, I've tweeted him out a few times here over the last year. He wore a T-shirt last year that said, "Nobody cares, work harder."
Yeah.
And I got one of those T-shirts myself. I like it so much.
Yeah.
So, you know, after we played the team across the street last week, I showed up to practice the next day with that T-shirt on. Nobody cares, work harder. You know, Millsaps is over. The next opponent is up, and you've got to be ready for them. And, you know, after we play Southwestern this week, regardless of result, nobody's going to care anymore. You have the next one to get ready for, and that's the mindset that this team has, and they've adopted, and that's all that matters is Southwestern right now and then moving forward.
The Blazers are going to take on Southwestern University Saturday in the Bowl Stadium, 7 p.m. Make sure to show up. No admission charge, so make sure to be there. No excuse not to be there. We'd love to see you. Coach, thanks for joining us. First episode will be back next week. Thanks for jumping on, and enjoy doing this.
Thanks, guys.